Welcome to the show. It's Real Talk with the Six Man. I'm your host, the Six Man. This podcast is uncut, unscripted, and we talk about a wide range of topics. Black entrepreneurship, social injustice, education, finances, the family dynamic, Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter, and mental health, along with many more. It's a Real Talk podcast to empower, educate, encourage, uplift, and inspire, and to allow others to be better than they were yesterday.
Hey Mom, this is Marqueese. I just woke up and thought about you. I just wanted to talk to you and say hi, and I love you, and nothing else. Call me back, smile.
Hey, this is your son. I didn't know if you had to travel back today, because I thought y'all went down for family reunion. I was in the shower, and I just got finished swearing to everybody just traveling back, but I couldn't really determine if y'all went down there tonight. This weekend. So I was just calling you to say you be safe traveling back home, and then I love you. And I just got finished praying like everybody. But bye.
DC Police now admits what we first told you, a disproportionate number of people stopped by DC Police.
They can't hide it anymore.
Admitting an inordinate number of people stopped by its officers. 70% of people stopped by its officers were black. Despite the fact census numbers show stop and frisk, just as many white people, the previously unreported racial disparities with stop and frisk, and systematic failures by the DC Police Department, with 86% of those more serious non-ticket stops being done on African Americans.
So I'm glad y'all gave me the opportunity to do this. It was something that was on my heart that I wanted to do it. And I know for both of you all want to kind of tell your story, because I felt like when we saw the Channel 9, episode, it wasn't in depth to me. It was chopped up. And I think that a lot of times when they chop it up, they don't necessarily give the whole story. So I'm here tonight just to try to give you guys an opportunity to give your story.
Thank you.
In your way. Okay.
Thank you.
I think people deserve that. And I think that everybody wants to know, how he was growing up, who he was, versus, some of the stuff that, the report on Channel 9 mentioned. So we're going to, kind of start slow. And we just going to, give me an idea of who Marqueese was. What was his personality? How was he growing up?
So Marqueese was very inquisitive. He was very intellectual. He was very caring. He always made sure that he checked on me whenever he felt like I was at distress, whether it was when I came home from work, whether it was him helping out with the household chores. He was always very helpful. He was always very insightful in school. The school teachers always had to make some extra work for Marqueese because he would finish his work beforehand, and then he would need some additional work, or he would help out with the classroom setting. So
Marqueese was also a critical thinker. He always had a plan, a strategy about anything that he worked on.
Okay.
He had a lot of charisma as far as the people he come in contact with. Everyone was attracted to him. So
one of the things that I listened to when we came out Sunday night for the memorial, one of the things that I heard was how passionate he was about his daughter. I want to know, how do you think that would affect you all now that he's not going to be able to be there for her? And how much of that will you take pride in of, raising her?
One day, Lyric is going to say, what happened to my dad? And so we as a family, as a community, we want to be able to provide her truth to say what happened to her dad.
Pick up where he left off. He was very in tune with his daughter. He was getting discipline out of her. Quite sure he was having conversations with her, letting her know how much he loved her. And
I have a picture of Marqueese praying with Lyric, And I cherished that picture a lot. And he would have conversations through text message with me to say, Mom, Lyric's not feeling well today. I'm not going to take her to the daycare. Or Mom, I'm going to actually take Marqueese with me take Lyric with me today to fill out job applications. I even had to share with Marqueese and say, I think it's best that you not take Lyric with you to fill out job applications. But he thought that was imperative that he took her with him. So.
And the support that you've been getting, because when we came out again, for the memorial, your oldest son, Anthony, he spoke and he kind of talked about the relationship between him and his brother. And I felt it because I have an older brother, so I kind of get that bond. But he kind of talked about the togetherness that they had, how much they kind of talked to each other. And even when, he took his mandatory vacation, they still kind of had that bond. So let's talk about that bond with the family and how that support has been helping you all thus far.
So growing up, Marqueese and Anthony, Anthony started working, I think, around 13. And so Marqueese, they're 4 years apart. And so Marqueese always looked up to his brother. And so he would do things like wear his clothes and would act as though he did not wear them and put them back in the closet. He did that a lot. And of course, he would always boast to the teachers that he had an older brother to help him out with the homework. His older brother worked. And so he cherished and valued that relationship with Anthony. And also, whenever Anthony went to hang out with his friends, of course, Marqueese wanted to follow. Could never understand why he had to stay home with me and Dad. But those were some of the personality traits that Marqueese showed with his brother and growing up.
So Dad, let's talk about Marqueese as an adult, as a father. How did that look?
As a father, he was very responsible, always. And wherever you saw him, his daughter was there. He wanted to make sure he was a great example for her, teaching her right, independent, getting her discipline.
Asking
me how was he when he was a kid, so he can see that in his daughter.
Most of the time we see that. I know with my daughter's kind of like that. All my family members say, that's you. What you mean? That's you.
Yeah.
So, just want to be a little bit more insightful, Mom. How did you see him as a father to his daughter?
I saw him very responsible, accountable. I saw him very proud to be a father. I saw him determined to find meaningful, gainful employment to provide for his daughter. Marqueese even sometimes worked 2 jobs just to make sure that he could provide for his daughter and himself. And so he was very responsible and took on ownership when he became a father.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
She had a lot of energy.
Yes.
She had a lot of energy. So let's go through the initial notification from MPD. When was the initial notification?
So Marqueese, the incident happened on Tuesday, June 12th. And from my understanding, about 7:10 p.m. However, I was not notified until the next day, about 1:45 p.m. by MPD. However, on the day before, the news broadcast that came on at 10 o'clock p.m. and 11 o'clock p.m., all of that ran with the story of Marqueese being killed. So that ran prior to us being notified that Marqueese was killed.
So let me get this straight. News outlets had already ran a story about your son before you were notified.
Yes.
How did that make you feel?
I was agonized. I was in disbelief. it brought anxiety. It brought a lot of hurtful feelings. I felt like we were treated as though we were not even human beings.
So initial reaction was disbelief in terms of the type of respect that you think you would get from a law enforcement agency. And I'm still having a hard time trying to figure out the attitude towards you all when they wanted you to do the identification. Because I remember your son specifically said that when they came to do the identification, that they came to your house or they came to wherever you were at the time with their gloves on, real aggressive and just, not really showing a lot of
no empathy, no compassion.
Right.
Yes.
And so what would you say to that? I mean, this is a city and a mayor who kind of, talks about pridefully, the police department and how they, treat the residents of DC. How did that make you feel?
It was not a good feeling at all. First, to not even be notified until 24 hours or more later of my son being killed. And then when they came here, the manner in which they notified us, it was very limited information that they shared. And they didn't even verify, or they didn't even give us the notification as though Marqueese was killed. They just said, we're here in regards to an incident that occurred on yesterday. And can you identify your son? I told them yes. And then they said, they gave me a printout that looked like it came from just a printout from Google to say, this is the medical examiner's phone number, and you can call them and see if your son is there.
So there was no ride to the...
No.
I mean, I'm just...
No.
I'm baffled with this. So they gave you a printout, a Google printout.
Yes.
Of where to go.
Yes.
Versus them giving you a ride or giving you an escort.
Yes.
To the medical examiner's office.
Yes. So they gave me, on the printout was the phone number and the address. They said, you can call here, see if your son is here. And then they said, have the detective that's assigned to this case been in contact with you? I said, no. They said, do you have any questions? I said, no. They said, we extend our condolences, goodbye. That's the only communication that MPD has given me and my family since Marqueese has been killed.
And this is since June 12th, 2018?
Yes.
So, Dad, walk me through why you think they killed Marqueese.
I think they killed Marqueese because as a society, we don't put our kids up like they put their kids up. So their kids become kidnapped. You see all type of boys. Everybody petition. They come up with different apps. Notifications. Mm-hmm. But when they look at us, what do they see? We portray in a negative light. So, we just nobody. So they pretty much just dust us off. I mean, we ain't nobody. Regentrification. The poverty value in Southeast is coming up. They want us out so they can bring another, a more high working class in. So I think they just don't see us the same.
Okay, and some people will say that the aspect of community policing is gone. And when I say that, I mean in terms of the police that actually service a particular neighborhood, they don't even live in that ward or in that area. So there is an automatic disconnect of how they communicate.
Yes. If you can remember, when we was coming up, the police was always at the recreation center.
Correct.
We knew the officers. If we were doing something, the officer, hey, come here, let me talk to you for a minute.
Correct.
Pull your pants up.
Correct.
Or either the side-by-side man. When the officers used to come out of school,
You taking me back.
they used to come enjoy their time with us. But now, you get somebody from West Virginia with a GED, and you put them in a uniform, and you have them in the police community, but it's no community.
That's
He's not a part of the community. It's just a job for him. He don't know what we deal with. He just know what the news put out there about us and how he see us in his eyes.
And so the stigma is set. And so according to the stigma, then that's how they respond instead of truly being involved within the community.
And some people would say the night of the incident that your son was in the wrong. And then it was clear to me that something was definitely wrong. And the only reason why I say that is because I was able to see that live footage on Facebook. And that was one of the reasons why my heart reached out to you. Because one of the things that I saw was the anger at the people. And it wasn't normal. I mean, it was the type of anger where by the time they panned that live video feed on the street, I mean, it was a lot of police out there. And it was just as many residents as it was police. And
Absolutely.
I mean, those people were upset.
Yes, they were.
I mean, they were saying stuff like, you shot him, he didn't have a gun.
Yes.
Why would y'all kill him like that? And of course, the white shirts came, pulled a couple of people to the side. Now, there was a lady there who was on the feed. And you told me that you knew who she was. I can't remember exactly who she was, but tell me about her.
So that is ANC Regina Pixley for Ward 7. And so she came to the crime scene immediately after it happened. And I thank God for her live feed that's been all over social media, because that's one of the means that has helped us to kind of put together and understand what happened on that evening to our son when he was killed by MPD.
And the lack of transparency. Talk about the lack of transparency with the department thus far.
Yes. And so in regards to the transparency, that's one of the primary reasons that the body camera program was invented through Mayor Bowser, which she spent $5 million of the taxpayers' dollars. And it was to provide transparency to the community and to provide accountability in regards to the officers and the community. And thus far, we as the Alston family, we have not seen that in this case. We haven't gotten any consistent communication from MPD. We haven't been provided with the investigation, what exactly happened, what occurred. We don't know any of that. We only know through the means of social media.
So in terms of the $5 million that she spent thus far, how would you say that $5 million has been spent?
I don't see it being spent in our community and being an accountability tool, especially considering we haven't been provided full access to the body cam, which would help us to understand what happened. And so because we haven't been provided that, I don't believe that the body cam program has been beneficial. And not only to just our case, but there's been several other high profile cases in DC that happened in 2018. And out of all of those high profile cases, zero body cam footage has been released. That is a problem. That's huge.
So to me, that sounds like that's a waste of money.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. And so other people would say that the body cam footage in regards to when police have their first initial contact with the suspect, that there's a saying that if it gets too deep, they can turn the footage off or they can turn the camera off. Is that true?
I don't know for sure if that's true. But through our experience, I would say that thus far, We have been provided 5 minutes of the body cam, and yes, it did get turned off. And when it was turned off in such a critical moment where we still don't even have the true answers of what happened to Marqueese. So we weren't provided full details as to exactly what happened. We weren't even provided full visible access to the body cam. And so again, that's why we're asking for it to be publicly released so that we could have our own copy, so that we can analyze it, so that we can strategically like plan out and see what happened and do we need to go forward legally.
So I was gonna say, Dad, what's your thought on not being able to see everything that happened to your son?
It's a disservice to me, because all I have to go by is the word what they saw. So I didn't see it for myself. So I'm taking their word as for it. And I was also wanting to say, when no paramedics on the scene, you know, once he gets shot, didn't nobody try to revive him. They just let him stay there. That's not right. You know, if someone is down, you want all the dangers out the way. You want to bring them, get them some help. Because once you get hit, that don't mean you're dead. But when you stay there for hours and hours and no one come and see you or come and try to revive you, that's murder. So to me, they didn't want him to survive because they probably knew he would probably be a witness against them. So I look at it like
it's a great point.
I look at it like that. And also, the news said it was 3 police on the scene. So for 3 police, we should have 3 different angles to use from the body cam. One, we only seen one version and only 5 minutes of that particular version.
And then even so, like where he was shot. So he was, from our understanding, he was shot 15 times. He was shot in his head, his back. And so we're still trying to find out why was he shot in his head and in his back. We're trying to find out.
Because being shot in his head would be against protocol, correct?
From our understanding, yes. And so, and even with them allowing us to see the 5 minutes of body cam, the night before we were scheduled to see it, initially, the mayor had said that it would be released we were asking for public release, but then the mayor said that she would release it just to the family. But then the night before our meeting with Internal Affairs to see it, they said I could come with only 3 people. So which meant I had to make a decision on who of my family to bring. My legal team alone was more than 3 people. Mm. And so Dad didn't even get to see the body cam. Oh, wow. So I had to try to explain to him what I saw. And so again, that's another reason why we're asking for public release, because my entire family, of course, we have that right to see this. There's no laws that are currently in place that prohibits us from seeing the body cam, considering our son was an adult child who's deceased. There's no law right now that prohibits us.
And there's some other families. There's some other families that are going through what you're going through. Yeah. And the day of the memorial, there were 3 mothers there, and they came out to support you. Talk about how that made you feel to see those mothers out there that had the same thing that happened to their son coming out to support you.
It was so meaningful. It encouraged me. It made me feel like we were somebody, unlike what the city has made us feel like. And so I'm grateful that they were able to come and to stand with us and to support and to advocate. We're so very grateful that they came out.
And one of the things that I think I liked in regards to the memorial is I was not shocked that a lot of the, so to speak, people in the community were going to be, so to speak, difficult in terms of wanting to talk. So I was kind of surprised when people kind of were opening up to you guys and kind of talking and saying what they saw and kind of saying what they heard that day. And I know it kind of made you interact a little bit more because you were kind of, oh, what you say you heard? Oh, what she say? And I thought that was key. And so I still felt like, in times of this, not to use you as an example, but since you're kind of going through this now, kind of tell people how it made you feel to see the community kind of want to help, and then the impact it has on people when you want to know what happened and people kind of speak up.
Yeah, and so I'm very grateful. Both me and Dad were grateful to the community for coming out on last Sunday, which was Marqueese's birthday. It was Keith's Canvas for Justice. And so basically we went out to the community, the crime scene where he was killed at. That was our first time there. And many of you all who live in that community, you came out, you shared with us what you witnessed, what you saw, and we're so very grateful. And we want you to continue to tell us what you saw. We gave out the phone number for the individual to contact. We're extremely grateful for helping us in these efforts.
Yes, that was very encouraging, and I just want to thank you all for coming out, because most people, they were like, in previous situations, they don't really want nothing to do with it. But being so you all came out and let us know what y'all saw, we really appreciate that.
And so after 1 year of pleading to the mayor to release this body camera footage publicly, what is your purpose for asking her to do that?
We just want the people to know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we want to know the truth. We want the daughter to know the truth. She has to grow up with no father. We just want the truth.
Absolutely.
And when you say truth, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about 15 wounds, 15 bullets, and let's talk about 5 minutes of footage where there's no direct correlation of why they needed to do that. Mm-hmm. What does that look like from an MPD standpoint in terms of why you think this footage hasn't been released to you in so long, and when you got to see it, it was just so vague?
So from Chief Newsom's perspective, and allegations, Marqueese fired shots at the police first. And so that was their purpose of returning fire. However, in the body cam footage that I got a chance to see, the 5 minutes, I did not see what the chief stated. And so again, that's another reason why we're asking for the body cam footage to be publicly released. So if that is the case, we definitely didn't see that when we saw the 5 minutes. So I would like to see what the chief saw.
So if you remember, 1 week before that, the head man in the 7th district was dismissed.
Yes.
He was doing a good job.
I remember that.
They just cut him off and they put a new guy in there. And then what the new guy do? He was like, y'all go out there, y'all do what y'all have to do to stop this killing in the street. So if you have to shoot, you have to shoot. So really, it was no control. They had a problem. The best way they knew to handle the problem was to find somebody. And then they put someone in there. And what instructions did he give them? I don't know.
By any means, that's what it sounded like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's what they went out there and did.
In terms
whatever they want to.
In terms of truth, though, and like I say, I was listening the whole time. So in terms of truth, I heard you say once that the body was moved, right? And then on the other hand, I heard Chief Newsham, one of the reporters, asked him, was a gun found? And he said, yes, it was a gun found. But then I heard you say that it was not even a clip inside the gun. So how does that I mean, how does that add up to truth?
Yeah. And so again, that's still why we're asking for the body cam to be released, because there was so many witnesses that said Marqueese did not have a gun, which is, of course, contradicting what the chief of police is stating. I've even heard the chief of police say that Marqueese threw a gun. He didn't fire a gun. So those are contradicting his own words. And then the very gun that was pictured in the newspaper and on the news outlets, that gun did not have a clip in it. And so we're trying to find out, how did Marqueese fire shots with no clip in a gun? So we're just trying to find out truth. What happened on June 12th?
In regards to that truth, how is your legal team considering filing the Freedom of Information request for the body camera footage? How's that going?
So we have filed the FOIA request. However, when we look at what has the results of FOIA requests within DC. So for an example, out of all the FOIA requests in 2018, of all the police involved shootings, there has been 0 that have been fully released. There have been 0. And so, yes, we filed the FOIA request. However, we're not for sure if, in fact, it's going to be honored and released.
I mean, I have a few thoughts, but I want this to be about kind of the facts of what's going on right now. And so let the people know thus far the type of support that you've gotten from the community thus far.
And so we've gotten tremendous support. And again, we extend our gratitude. Black Lives Matter has helped us. Law for Black Lives. PAN has assisted us, along with Ascension's therapeutic services. So we've had many individuals, and even if I forgot to list them, please don't charge it to me. But we've had a numerous amount of community support, and we're very grateful for that.
I'm April with Black Lives Matter DC. I've been involved in this since the day it happened. We all saw it on live, so we came up. But we've been following the MPD for a number of years, just in these police-involved shootings, as they're never, ever released. The videos are never released unless they need to exonerate themselves immediately. And so what we know is that night, so many people were here, so many people had video, but there isn't a culture of sharing the videos like there are in other cities. But what we know is folks have years and years of video of police doing what they do. So we're really trying to change that aspect of how we all work together as a community. The ultimate goal is to not only get these videos released, but to also show a pattern of MPD's cover-up of these every single time. They all follow a very specific pattern. As soon as they shoot someone, kill someone, they get on the news, and you can watch the news that night, every hour, in their public statements and how they change. And then the end result is usually that next week will be their narrative about the killing. You can also count on them bringing up everything that person ever did, and it's all a very scripted and planned attack to take away any kind of humanization of the victim, which perpetuates everybody feeling like, well, if they got shot by the police, they probably deserved it. And what we find is that it's our own folks. It's our own folks. Even we believe that if you have any kind of contact with law enforcement, it's because you did something, right? And sometimes police may be bad. It's not all of them. But our mission is to remind folks that policing is a system, right? The conversation about one officer or two officers being bad or not says nothing about an entire system where officers can walk around with each other knowing that they shot people for no reason. And the fact that they stay on, the fact that their union protects them, the fact that they can stay at home on administrative leave completely paid while families are dealing with the loss, and then can be fired and still get their pensions and still get their retirement. And and no kind of accountability. Whereas if you and me were suspected of doing something like this, our picture, our name, our family's name, our address, everything would be on the news. So there's this different immunity that cops are getting that we have to break. And it's not going to be the cops out here asking about what they did. It's going to be the community saying, like, we don't even need the police. Like, we can find justice and expose injustice, together by ourselves. We have that power. We've always had that power.
And the people would also just want to know the community support, family efforts. I mean, it was a lot of people that came out that day who supported the cause, the memory, the birthday. How did that make you feel with the community being in it, coming out and supporting you on that?
It made us feel hopeful. That encouraged us a lot. We are thankful for them coming out. Really meant a lot, and we thank you all for that.
And so, if you wanted to tell Mara Bowser something in regards to this body camera footage and just the overall truth, what would that look like to her?
I just say, let your conscience be your guide. We have to deal with this pain. We have to live with this pain. That's unnecessary. So it's going to come back on you one way or another. So let your conscience be your guide. Deal with it so I won't have to deal with you, Mary.
It's so hard to advocate and grieve at the same time, just because we want to know truth. I totally believe that this is something that should be automatically given to us and not something that we have to fight for and advocate for. It's hard. It's hard. And so that's why, again, we're asking for this to be publicly released. We're not even asking for it to be privately released. We want the community to know just as well as ourselves and our families. We want to know what happened.
And if you had an opportunity to talk to Chief Newsham in regards to the MPD, what would you say you would have liked to see done differently?
I would like to have seen the full body cam. I would like for him not to have been touched by the police once he was down. I think if he hadn't been touched, he should have been touched by paramedics. The crime scene was affected in a negative way. So.
And if that was the call of duty, if that was part of the procedures, then tell us that as the family. But again, because we've only seen these things on social media, and because you all have not formally provided us with accountability and provided us being transparent as to what happened, that makes us feel like there is some untruth in all of this.
And there's nothing we can do that will bring Marqueese back. There's nothing. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can say to bring him back, right? And so, what would you like to see implemented in regards to this being diverted from it happening to another family?
Definitely legislation and laws that would allow for the family members of a loved one that has been killed to be able to see the body camera footage. Currently, the laws is only the individuals that are in the body cam can make the request to see them. So laws need to be implemented. So whereas if that individual becomes deceased, that their loved ones would have that opportunity and be allowed to see that.
Same here. I think I think the public should be able to see it, so they can judge themselves. Because we have two sides going at each other. We have your perspective and we have our perspective. So we can look at the same thing. You see an apple look delicious, but I see it from another angle, and the apple, I see a worm going in the apple. So you want to eat it, but I know it's deadly for me. So, but if we all see it together, then we can make our own decisions. So I just want cam release so the public can see it and make their own opinion.
And then also, I would highly suggest that we begin to create forums and some type of public outlet so that the community can go to these events and go to such settings so that we can have this conversations there. There's been too many police involved shootings. There's been too many police involved stop and frisk as far as it relates to our community without us knowing, having answers. And so when we have settings as such, we can start to really do community policing from the root.
And if you had an opportunity right now just to tell, other family members and, people that this might have happened to, what would you tell them in terms of them not being able to keep going? What's keeping you going?
What's keeping us going, I totally believe is the team that's supporting us, the community, and we knowing within our heart that because truth has not been put out, we recognize that we have to continue to fight for truth. And so Spirit, of course, definitely continues to lead, guide, and direct us. But it also comes from the community and from our support team as well.
Well, we still have children to raise. So that's what's keeping me going.
Lyric.
Yeah.
Marquee's daughter, Lyric.
And
at some point one day, she's going to ask us what happened to my dad. And so we want to be able to provide her with truth as to what happened to her dad.
So just a full investigation. We want answers to what happened on that day when Marqueese was killed. The body-worn camera is a start. To have it be able to be seen by the public would be a good thing, because then it could generate more investigative leads from people that aren't affiliated with the police department. And so if you want an honest, unbiased, full, complete investigation, then you need to release information so folks can get it, can come out and help with that. And I don't think that Marqueese's mother or his family has gotten that yet. And so it just keeps the wound open for far longer. It's never going to close, but it doesn't have to be as raw as it was the day it happened. It just doesn't.
I mean, honestly, I have my own thoughts about it. And this is kind of the reason why I wanted to sit down with you guys so you guys can kind of tell your story. I mean, in terms of me having my own thoughts, I kind of, keep them to myself. But again, I'm a Ward A resident. I grew up in this city. And I've seen, like you said, the police and the dynamic change totally. Like there's no respect, like you say, when they approach the residents, I'm going to say residents, that they don't approach them in a way where it's approachable. It's automatically aggressive. It's overly zealous. And, some of the things that I've seen with the gun task force and some of the things that Chief Newsham might say on TV, but then turn around and allow, the jump outs to jump out on guys and walk up on an undercover police officer, pull a BB gun, and now that's an opportunity to frisk everybody. But then the undercover police officer on camera, on live, is able to walk down the street, get in the car, and leave. I mean, that's not the type of policing that we need, especially with the statistics. Now, April was able to give me some information today that we were there. And when I got home and was able to see the statistics that they did, now this is their numbers. So now they got to deal with this because now it's public. And so these numbers, 70% of the people who've been stopped and frisked are
African American. Yep.
In DC. And the population in DC is not all black. So that would say what's really going on. And I remember I had a conversation with Jackie Carter. She and her husband Wayne came up with a program called Not Reaching. And I did a recent interview with them. And one of her things was Philando Castile. Right? And she was a court reporter, transcriptionist, I believe that's what it is. And she said that she was able to get the transcript for that stop. And she said one of the last things before he died that he said was, "I'm not reaching." And that was their reason for making the Not Reaching campaign. They actually have a pouch where you can stick your ID, your registration card, your insurance. You clip it to the air vent. You can keep one hand on the wheel and just pass the bag to the officer. It'll have all your information. And then she did an interview with D.L. Hughley, and it was just like D.L. Hughley was like, "I like this, but," and when he said the "but," I already knew what it was. There's no reason why we should have to do this. There's no reason why you had to lay down in your bed and wake up and say, "You know what, this is something that I want to do." And so I just wanted to thank you guys first and foremost for just allowing me to be a part of this beautiful situation, because I feel like with the community coming out, Black Lives Matter, the Pan-African community. I mean, it was so many people that came out, and I know you were overwhelmed with joy, and I liked it. I mean, I was like, this is great. And I feel like people need to know that, if we come together more often, then solutions can be had.
Yes.
Muriel Bowser is a person like we are.
Yes.
Chief Newsham, he's a person like we are. And if we came together more, the voice can be heard, much more.
Yes.
So I want to thank y'all for just allowing, the people the time to, get your version of your story, and just want to say, whatever help I can give you guys, I'm here. Always let me know what I can do, and I'm definitely here for you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.